Good evening to all the participants joined in the Delhi virtual program on work-life balance. We have with us today's resource person, Mr. Prasanna Krishna, and our today's experts, CA Dr. Pradeep Gupta and Dr. Rajiv Gupta. We are conducting Delhi virtual program on work-life balance from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and weekend virtual program on work-life balance from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So with a grand applause, we welcome the resource person, Mr. Prasanna Krishna, in this virtual program on work-life balance. And I am handing over the session to CA Dr. Pradeep Gupta for introduction of Mr. Prasanna Krishna, and thereafter handing over the session to Mr. Prasanna Krishna.
Thank you, Dr. Sambit. About Mr. B.G. Prasanna Krishna, he holds a postgraduate engineering degree from IIT Delhi. He is a senior information technology and environment consultant. He has worked at various companies, IBM, Wipro GE Medical System, etc., and in leadership positions. He also has held executive level positions in medium-sized IT companies, and where he headed the India operations. And he has a keen interest in working with nature and contributing to the society. Hence, he started Belfair Harvest, a company specializing in the field of rainwater harvesting and solar energy utilization. He is also partner at MEOH Tech LLP, company engaged in area of promoting methanol economy. He is also into the organic farming and has developed Krishna Organic Farms near Bangalore, which is fully operated on solar energy. Many fruits, vegetables, timber, flowers, etc. are being grown without use of any chemical fertilizer or pesticides. He has a keen interest in spirituality and is a member and trainer of Heartfulness Institute and is committed to his spiritual quest under Heartfulness System of Meditation. He has undertaken many research initiatives on benefits of Heartfulness Meditation, prediction using AI ML algorithm, and has published many articles in PubMed International. The paper published by ICI was also authored by Mr. B.G. Prasanna Krishna. Over to B.G. Prasanna Krishna.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Sambit. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. We'll continue with our program on work-life balance. The first session was on basically health and well-being. We have basically classified 8 soft skills which we need to develop to perfect our work-life balance thing. We are on to the second topic of the day, which is focus. How do we develop focus in our professional life and in our personal life and also in our spiritual life? This is going to be the topic of discussion for the next 2 days. As usual, before we start really, let's do the check-in process or the centering process so that we all can focus better on the program we are conducting. This is going to be a 2-minute exercise. For those of you who have already done it, you know what needs to be done. For the others, I'd like to take you through this process. Let's all sit comfortably, close our eyes, get into a relaxed state. Gently, let's bring our attention to the heart. And give a suggestion to ourselves, saying, we are going to get into this activity. Let me focus on this to the maximum possible extent so that I can get the maximum benefit out of this session. So let's focus on this activity. We are sitting comfortably, eyes closed, relaxed, trying to go inside of ourselves into our hearts, deep within ourselves, with the suggestion to ourselves that all other thoughts which were bothering us, before this are all being sidelined, and we are focusing on the activity we are going to get into. Let it be a very gentle suggestion to ourselves. Let's not try to fight other thoughts. Let's just ignore them and try to bring our attention back to what we want to do now. Let's breathe, inhale and exhale very softly, long, deep breaths. Let's reaffirm to ourselves that we are going to continue this process for today. Focus on what we really want to do. Focus on this activity. And with the conviction that our mind is very focused, let's gently open our eyes. Let's formally start this session. Basically, what we did was, sorry, somebody is trying to say something. So basically, I think what we are now trying to say is, this is one of the micro activities, we call it in micro practices is what we call it in the heartfulness system, where there is one activity which is helping us to go deeper within ourselves and focus on what we want to achieve in the next 1 hour or so. This can be done for every activity we do. We can quietly sit. Not even if you're in a meeting, you don't even have to close your eyes. Just pay attention to your heart and try to ignore other things. So this is one thing which even research has found, a lot of research and papers have been published, that when you do this centering, where you center yourself, a lot of things fall in place automatically. You're more attentive during the meeting. You're more focused on what you want to do. So before we really start, I think one thing as a part of focus I'll be discussing is the attention span. See, the world is not like what it was before. They say that if you take a social angle on a social scale between 0 AD and 2000 AD, what is the average of numerical average will be 10th century AD. But if you take the sociological change, how it changed, the average comes to somewhere around 19,000. The amount of social change which happened before 1900 AD, and what has happened between 1900 and 2024. The average seems to be, this has been a published research paper saying that the average social period is 1900. So whatever changes happened between 0 century AD and 1900 AD is only half of what we are exercising today between 0 AD and 2024 AD. Similarly, if you take a social scale and see what is the average span in which changes occurred between 1900 AD and 2024 AD, the average comes to about 1995. Those of us who have been there since 1995 know internet was not there. Phones were landlines. There was no television. Basically, what has happened is there is so much information available now on social media, on the web, coming on TV. There's so many things, so much information available, but there is lack of one thing, which is attention. So this is making a big difference in our life. When we see so much, you have seen typical teenagers, no? They're on the mobile, totally paying attention to it. You see it in buses, you see it in cabs, you see it in metros, where they're totally absorbed, complete 100% attention on their mobile phones. They're not even aware of what's going on. Facebook, Instagram. Today, this attention's knowledge business, Facebook, Instagram is much, much more bigger in terms of revenue, in terms of the size of the thing. probably much more compared to the petrol products we use, much bigger in terms of revenue. Today, Facebooks, Instagrams, etc., are really making much more money compared to even the petroleum products, which we think we are using so regularly. So it's really hard to focus on what we want to do because there's so much information available. So in this context, I would like to play a video now. This is an ad by Skoda on their new product when they released it, the Fabia. I'll just play that.
To test just how much attention the attention-stealing design of the new Skoda Fabia actually steals, we left one parked on this ordinary road in West London. We wanted to see if its sharp crystalline shapes, bold lines, and lower, wider profile would attract the desired level of attention. Will the 17-inch black alloy wheels stop passers-by in their tracks? Will the angular headlights attract the attention of other road users? Will a crowd gather to check out its fresh, sporty look? Well, not quite. But did the attention-stealing design distract you from noticing that the entire street has been changing right before your very eyes? Don't believe us? Have another look. Did you spot the van changing to a taxi? How about the scooter changing to a pair of bicycles? Or the lady holding a pig? Let alone the fact that the entire street is now completely different. Didn't think so. So there we have it. Proof that the new Skoda Fabia is truly attention-stealing.
I'm sure all of us, when I saw this video first time, I was also flabbergasted saying, wow, this is something which I was not really paying attention. I was paying attention to the Fabia, not so much to the street. So I think as we go along, we'll see how this attention span can change. How do we make it different? See, when you speak of attention, there are 2-3 types of attention we are looking at. See, for example, I'll give you an example of a cat waiting near a rat hole. You know, the cat is totally focused on the rat hole, no? It doesn't notice anything else. If you just stand at a distance and watch the cat, it's just staring at the rat hole, waiting for the rat to make an appearance. The moment it comes, pat, it takes it and catches it. I'm sure all of us have noticed. That is a very single-pointed, focused attention. The second sort of attention is, you know, like a kingfisher. It's sitting on a tree near a lake and it's scanning the entire lake scenario. It's not focused on one point in the lake. It's focusing on the entire lake. One ripple on the surface of a lake, it pounces and catches the fish. This is the second sort of attention we are really looking at today. How can we focus our mind like a cat and like a kingfisher? And there's a third sort of attention, probably we'll discuss it as we go along, which is much more important than these two. So there are various researches which have proved that this sort of attention can be gathered, can be improved by regulating our mind. So we come to this fact. This is the fact which has been published by researchers all over the world. When we are listening to anything or doing something, we are unfocused about 50% of the time. Only half the time we are able to really focus on it. If we observe ourselves, it's really the case, all of us. This is a standard research done where they called up about 8,000 people at different points in time, took their consent and called them at different point of time. They made about, I think, it was 8,000 calls on 500 odd people. So they found that during that time when they called, only 50% of the time they were focusing on what they were supposed to do. So we are wasting, essentially, we are not able to focus 50% of the time on the job we want to do. And the second thing is, most of this, all this will go, as we go along, we'll see that it is negative by default. Most of the thoughts, the unfocused thoughts which come into our mind are negative thoughts, most of it. However, the good news is that it can be transformed by mental training. That's what we are trying to do. How do we make this 50% to 10% so that 90% of the time we are able to focus? And how is it that we can avoid these negative thoughts, at least reduce the negative thoughts? Because they say whenever you're not doing anything and your mind is busy, and it's always, primarily negative thoughts that focus there. And what the research has also found is that whenever you're focused on something, try to do something, you're happy. But if you let your mind free, you're always negative. That is a period of unhappiness in you. That's what we'll go along and see the research also. To start off on how a mind works, I'll show you one more video. Please give me a few minutes. I'll just let us see this video now. There'll be a series of things which will come. Just observe. Yeah, what did you see? If some of you can type in the box what you saw. It'll be helpful if some chat box, if you can type in what you saw. It'll be very interesting observation. So, yeah, I understand that there are limitations in typing the thing. So what I'll really do is, see, I'm sure all of us would have noticed that there are a sequence of numbers which were played. A sequence of alphabets which were played. I'll run the video again and let's see what was there really. Please pay attention. There'll be something which comes in between the numbers. What is it? I'll start the video again. Please pay attention to what comes in between the numbers. I really hope this session was interactive because there would have been a lot of feedback. I'm sure one of you or many of you would have seen a number 7 come there, right? But was there more? One last time I'll play this video with a reduced speed. I'm not able to reduce the speed. Basically, what happens is when you do this, what happens is there is a number 1. Apart from number 7 which comes, there is a number 1 which comes. Many of us could not have noticed it. See, there was a 7 and then a 1. So many of us would have missed it. At least I was not able to see it when we ran this video first time. I'm sure it's a common occurrence that many of us are not able to see that number 1. Why does this happen? When I told you that there is a series of number in between the alphabets, there's a number which come in. The moment we see 7, our mind sort of goes into a thing called attentional blink. Our attention sort of lapses, saying that, yes, this was something which was there and I've caught it. And we normally, about 90% of the people miss that there is a second number which will come up. In this case, it was the first number was 7, the second number was 1. I'm sure that happened to most of us. So this is what is called an attentional blink. When our mind is trying to pay attention, you realize that your attention has caught up to something, your attention drops after that. So that is called an attentional blink, which is a very common factor. Now, I'm sharing with you, there's a chat, I'm just seeing that. Yeah, there have been a couple of chats which said A, Z is there, plus is there, etc. Yes, but the important point was number 1, with 7 and 1 which were there. So, Matthew Killingsworth did a lot of research and published papers. He did the actual study saying that what happens when we are trying to focus on a job. One of the most important aspects of the study which came up was, like I told you, they called up about 500 people, made 8,000 calls during various phases with their consent, and found that only about 50% of the time they were able to Focus on that. Another important observation which came up because of this is during the unfocused time, there were a lot of negative thoughts, which really didn't make a person happy. So if you want to be happy, stay in the moment. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Only think about the present. How can we make this happen? That is the challenge we are going to address today. So what we'll now do is basically look at other research which has been published and see where this. See, why this is important is when we are looking at, say, today there are many distractions to us which sort of make us happy. Some of them I can really think of is food, sex, alcohol, social media, etc. Definitely these things make us happy, right? Because there is a hormone called dopamine, which is a chemical released by the system whenever you feel you're indulging in a pleasure. It can be alcohol. That's why alcohol is so addictive. Drugs are so addictive. Social media is so addictive. Because if you think you're going through the pleasure, dopamine is released. Dopamine is definitely a happy hormone. The initial part of the phases of being happy, dopamine is released. So that's why people like alcohol, people like drugs, people are addicted to social media. That's a new thing, no? That's why they say pay attention, because you have to pay for the attention. You have to really focus and pay for the attention. So there are basically 4 types of hormones, because let's go a bit scientific into see what research says about how to improve focus. The attention span can be increased by dopamine. But if you're doing the wrong things like social media is the biggest culprit in this day, because we talk of different pollutions. We talk of atmospheric pollution, we talk of water pollution. But I think we are forgetting a few things. Like I told you, the social structure, the average time. From 1995 onwards, there's been a lot of electromagnetic pollution. Earlier to that, it used to be just TVs and radios. But today, any place you go, the amount of electromagnetic radiation is extremely high. That's creating a lot of pollution. I'm sure many of us who have microwave towers in front of a house feel that this is so much disturbance. These days, people are saying, even if you get money, we'll not put microwave towers on a house. But there is one more level of pollution which is happening, which is apart from the atmospheric, water, etc. There's one more, and electromagnetic, there's one more, which is the thought pollution. Our thoughts are creating real havoc. So how do we control all this? That is the challenge we are trying to address. If we want a perfect work-life balance, the main thing, like what we discussed yesterday, is our mind. How do we regulate our mind so that we don't pollute ourselves and pollute our environment with these thoughts? How do we stay happy in that moment? See, this is all, mindfulness is all about this, where you are in the current moment. You can't change your past, that is gone, but you can change your future by not worrying about it, but doing something in the present. That's what Matthew Killingsworth really published in his papers. We'll circulate the list of papers also, which I'm referring to. He published in this paper that staying in the current, focusing on the current, helps us get over it. There were other research also which were done in this field by Marcus Rachel and Judson Brewer. See, Marcus Rachel, there are a lot of scientific data gathered there. I'll not go too deep into it. But Marcus basically talked about default mode network. See, when our mind is not doing anything, what is it doing? He called it the default mode network, short formed as DMN. DMN is mainly unnecessary thoughts, probably negative thoughts. And that makes our life really difficult. In this context, Judson Brewer and colleagues in 2011 came out with a research paper where they said meditation is associated with relatively reduced default mode network activity. These negative aspirations are really addressed by meditation. I'll send the link to these papers. It will be made available in ICICI servers, because these are all scientific research which has proved that by regulating our mind, helping it focus on one thing which we want to do, this DMN activity is drastically reduced. So that's what science has to say about it. There are many other yogic practices and micro practices, as we call it, like the centering exercise we did earlier. I would like to introduce one more micro practice today, which will help us focus better. This is to be used at your discretion whenever you feel like centering whenever you think you're getting into an important meeting. Try to do centering like what we did the check-in today. No? Just try it out for 30 seconds. You're in a lift or walking up a stairs or sitting in a chair before you go to the meeting. Try centering yourself so that you can focus more in what happens during the meeting. Okay, and the second micro activity I would like to introduce is when you find that you're very disturbed. Suppose you're having a client issue, a client comes to you very upset, or you are upset with the client. One thing which definitely helps us instead of reacting to that situation is to calm down ourselves. I'll introduce one practice today which will help us calm down ourselves. And with that, we'll continue. We'll close the session and move on to the next aspects tomorrow on how to improve attention. Basically, we dealt with the theory on how science proves meditation can be there. We looked at two ways of concentrating. One was on the cat-mouse thing, how a cat was focusing on a rat hole. Second thing was a kingfisher, how it was concentrating on a whole area. The third aspect of it, we'll come to it later. But right now, I will go through this micro practice and then continue with our meditation. At the end of this micro practice, I'll request everybody to go into their meditative state. So what we'll do during this micro practice is when our mind is very disturbed, you feel that your mind is you're upset or something, you're not, you'll find you're not balanced at that point of time. There is one technique which is suggested, which has helped many of us calm down our mind, bring us back to the thing. So let's do that practice right now. So what we'll do is we'll sit comfortably, close our eyes, and let us close our right nostril. We are closing our right nostril like this. Let's close our right nostril, leave our left nostril open, and take a deep breath. Inhale very deeply, go very deep into this thing. Exhale again through the left nostril. Let's repeat this process. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. Try to empty your lungs. Again, inhale very deeply. Fill up your lungs with air. Exhale very slowly. In fact, it is suggested that the exhalation should take 3 times the inhalation. You should be slow. You should completely empty your lungs. Let's do this 10 times. 4 inhalation. Slow exhalation. 5 inhalation. Slow exhalation. 6 inhalation. Make it deep and strong. Exhale slowly. Completely empty your lungs. 7 inhalation. Exhale again, slow and deep through your left nostril. 8 inhalation. Exhale. 9 inhalation. Deep inhalation through the left nostril. Exhale very gently, slowly. Completely empty your lungs. And for the last time, inhale very slowly, very deeply. Exhale, slowly, completely empty your lungs. Get back to your normal practice. Breathing, get back to your normal breathing. And just try to observe yourself. In most of the cases, we find that our mind has slowed down significantly. Whatever was bothering us is sort of not bothering us so much. See, as we go along in these sessions, there'll be a lot of micro practices which will be taught like this. Our job is they are not regular. We don't have to regularly do it. We just have to do it whenever there is a need. Like before you go to an important meeting, try to center yourself. If you find that you're very, very upset, again, try this left nostril breathing. It helps in a lot of ways. It comes out of experience. After doing it when you're very disturbed, you find that, yes, you're slowed down significantly. So you decide when you want to do these practices. But as far as the regular daily practice is concerned, try to meditate in the morning for about half an hour. And then there's the process which Stan described, and probably we'll take it up tomorrow, process called cleansing when you go home after your daily work. And there was this last stage where before going to bed, there was a prayer. These are the things you need to do on a daily basis. That's the core of the practice. And you can really look at these micro practices based on a need. So let's get into a meditation. Let's do it for about 15-20 minutes. Let's all sit comfortably. Gently close our eyes. Bring our attention to the heart. Let's pay attention to the heart, not concentrate or focus. And sit with an assumption that there is a light in the heart. Let's think of the light in the heart, the source of the light in the heart. That's also very important. How did that light come? Let's meditate on the source of the light in the heart. There'll be countless thoughts which bother us. Our job is every time you're thinking of something, gently, very gently, don't put pressure on your mind. Bring your mind back to paying attention to the heart. So it has to be a very passive, gentle process. Don't force your mind. So let's continue with the meditation for about 15-20 minutes. That is all. Before you open your eyes, pay attention to yourself and see how are we feeling. Let's all examine ourselves and see how are we feeling. Is there calm? Is there peacefulness? Are we more disturbed? It doesn't really matter what we felt during the meditation. What is important is how we feel after the meditation. So it's okay to have thoughts, disturbances, restlessness during meditation. But before you open your eyes, just observe yourself to see how you're feeling. That's very important. If possible, make a mental note. And if you have a diary, if you have a habit of writing a diary, please note it down also. Because it's important to see how we felt before and after the meditation. Let's give it a couple of minutes. Yeah, there are a couple of questions on the chat box. How can we use meditation as a refuge when times are difficult? I think it's a very valid question. Yeah, when do we go to a doctor? When we are sick. Similarly, what do we do when we are tired? We take rest, we eat, we drink to recap our energy, right? Similarly, I think it's the time when we think we are going through a difficult phase is the time when we really need to meditate. It's okay if you feel that you're not able to concentrate on your meditation. It's okay. Just use the cleansing process, which was described by Stan during the second session. We'll also do it tomorrow during our session tomorrow, the process of cleaning, just to reinforce the practice. Try it out. I think when you think times are difficult, that is the time when you need to really sit and meditate. So I think it's a very good question. So let's try that and you'll feel, I don't have to explain whether it's useful or not useful. Whenever you feel let down, difficult, try. It's okay if you think you can't meditate, it's perfectly fine. But it's important to sit at that time. Okay. Next question is, what can I do to not make myself anxious? I often make myself so anxious, it makes me feel worse. And I've been doing this for such a long time. What can I do? Yeah, I think all of us, see, it's not a black and white situation where you say, I'm anxious now, I'm not anxious now. It's always a spectrum, sometimes we are here, sometimes we are here. So some of us, when we feel we are at the extreme, go inside yourself and give a suggestion to yourself saying that it's okay. The external situation cannot change. See, one thing all of us have to realize is the external situations cannot change. We'll always continue to have problems. We'll continue to have difficulties. But what we can change is our attitude to that, our strength to face these difficulties. And a lot of scientific research has been done in this. A lot of psychological scales have been used. And many publications have come up that by doing meditation, it really helps us get over these situations. But it needs some sustained practice. It's like driving a car. It takes probably 10-15 hours to master driving a car initially. The clutch, the accelerator, the steering, gears. Similarly, here also there are a lot of intricacies which will take time. So please don't give up initially saying it's not helping. It will take time. Like we discussed yesterday, try it for 2-3 months. At the end of 2-3 months, we'll find that, yes, things have changed for me. So, but again, half the problem is solved when you realize that there is a problem. That's what many psychologists say. Glad that you realize you're anxious. It'll go. Not to worry, it'll go with practice. Mind is the crux. So let's try regulating our mind, making it a better instrument to serve us. Mind is there to serve us, right? It can't control us. If we let it control, it will control us. But if we can regulate our mind to make it a slave of ourselves, that's when it really becomes easy. And that can be done through meditation. So please try it out. It will definitely help. How to start meditating, how long until I see some results. Yeah, this we can start meditation immediately. There's no issue. For the results to show, it will probably take 15 days, 1 week, 3 months. It depends, I think. But within 3 months, all of us definitely feel that there is some change in ourselves. We start noticing those changes. So pursue with it for a while. Pursue the daily practice. It's important to do it daily. You can't have 1 meal in a week and try to be healthy, right? It needs time. So with this, there are no more questions. Is there something other members want to go on this list want to talk about? If Dr. Sambit or Dr. Pradeep Gupta wants to talk about it, please do add to whatever I answered. With this, I think I would like to end my session. Thank you.
We are thankful to Mr. Prasanna Krishna for deliberating on that one, meditation as a science. So that we are also thankful to CA Dr. Pradeep Gupta and Dr. Rajiv Gupta for their presence and their guidance. We are conducting the daily virtual program on work-life balance from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. from Monday to Friday, and weekend virtual program on work-life balance from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. We are thankful to each and every participant present over here for this virtual program on work-life balance. We are thankful to each and everyone. With this, we conclude today's session. Thank you to all.